Alright, so I thought I'd share 3 books that have been incredibly useful for me, and these 3 books contain ideas and lessons that I literally use every day, and that's why I consider them incredibly useful. And before I get into the details on each book, I would just like to add that my biggest recommendation is that you read books that you are actually excited about reading, and a lot of times I find myself getting caught up reading books that seem really valuable and that are recommended by really smart people, but that I'm not actually really excited to read, which instead leads to me not reading and procrastinating reading. And this may seem like obvious advice, but it's something that I have found myself in and still constantly find myself doing. And the reason that it's important for me to avoid getting caught in this trap of reading books that I'm not excited about is because I found that my general productivity usually increases when I'm in a routine of regular reading. And that could be simply due to the fact that when I have more energy to be productive, I also have more energy to read. So I end up thinking that the reading is what makes me productive, but it's just that I have more energy in general. But I think more than that, I think that it's mostly due to the fact that when I actually read something, I get more motivated and I want to be more productive. So therefore, a regular routine of reading is really important to me. And now let's get into the 3 books. The first book, and also maybe the most chronologically suitable first recommendation for a book, is the book How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler. And this book is not a book on how to read on a elementary level, and it's also not a book on speed reading. It talks about speed reading, but it's not its purpose. On the other hand, this book delves deep into how to get the most out of every book that you read. Most people are first taught how to understand words and sentences, and then once this basic skill is acquired, not much more effort gets put into how to actually read. And this book teaches you what comes next, which is how to become a more competent reader. The thing that's really good about this book is that it goes into depth on how to read different genres. So, for instance, how to read math and how to read science, and also fiction and poetry. And it also teaches you how to take better notes and how to approach a new book and new topics. And personally, I think it's one of the most useful books that I've read, and honestly, I think it should be part of every high school curriculum. Okay, so the second book that I would recommend is The Made to Stick, which is written by the Heath brothers. This book tackles the subject of what makes an idea stick, and how come some ideas stick and others don't, and how come some stories stick around for thousands of years. It's extremely well written, and some of the concepts that they bring up are concepts that I use every day, and concepts that I use to create the title for this video, for instance. And I think that no matter where you end up, the lessons and ideas from this book will be of great value to you. The third book that I would recommend is called To Sell is Human, and it's written by Daniel Pink. And this is a book on modern selling, and I think an important point to make is that it explains selling in a way that I have never heard before. So that means no more seedy car salesman tricks. And he proposes that compared to earlier generations, we now live in a society where there's an information equality between the salesperson and the customer. Previously, the customer would have struggled to find out whether the car they were about to buy could be bought someplace else at a cheaper price, or what to look out for when buying that car, as compared to now, when basically you could just Google this stuff and find out what the cheapest price is for that car, and another Google search could show you what to look out for when buying that car. So today, when a customer shows up at the car dealership, they might actually be more informed than the salesperson, which means that the way they sell has to change. And this is what really resonated with me. It's a book that doesn't explain how to use seedy tricks to fool people into buying, but rather takes a more human and genuine approach to selling, which is why I highly recommend this book, and it's one of my absolute favorites. Alright, that's it. I hope I gave you some new ideas for some books that maybe you haven't read before.